I mean, I don't aim to disrupt for the sake of disrupting, you know. It's more like there's what set of actions are most likely to lead to a better future. You know, in order for, one of the things, obviously, in order for humanity to have a compelling future for civilization is that we must have a clear path to a sustainable energy future. That's one of the things that I think everyone would agree with. I actually am not someone who would tend to sort of demonize oil and gas, to be clear. This is necessary right now, or civilization could not function. So I do think we actually need, and actually at this time, I think we actually need more oil and gas, not less. Mm-hmm. But simultaneously moving as fast as we can to a sustainable energy economy. And I thought the words of the Prime Minister were just spot on. You know, it's, and I'm glad to hear that there's a large effort for ocean wind, because that's I think a massive untapped potential. I would say go even more than what the Prime Minister said. Frankly, it's like that's you know, I mean, if you did 100 by 100 array of 10 megawatt systems, you'd have 100 gigawatt capability. You do need to combine that with stationary storage, battery packs, to buffer the energy, because sometimes the wind blows and sometimes it doesn't blow. Or it doesn't blow as hard. And so you need to buffer it with battery packs, stationary battery packs, and Tesla and other companies are also making that. So that the sort of the three pillars of a sustainable energy future are sustainable energy generation, which is hydro, geothermal, wind, solar. I'm also pro-nuclear. I mean, I think we should really keep going with the nuclear plants. I know this may be an unpopular view in some quarters, but I think if you have a well-designed nuclear power plant, you should not shut it down, especially right now. But I try to say what I think is, you know, scientifically cogent, even if it is not popular. Anyway, so the pillars are sustainable energy generation, but then must also store the energy, because many of the two main sources of sustainable energy, wind and solar, are intermittent. The wind doesn't always blow, the sun doesn't always shine, so you must buffer the energy in stationary battery packs. And then the third element, obviously, is electric vehicles. So electric cars, trucks, aircraft, boats, with the ironic exception of rockets. But we do have a plan for sustainably producing the rocket propellant, which is actually almost 80% liquid oxygen. So liquid oxygen you can get obviously from the atmosphere, and then we're going with methane fuel, which is 20% of the propellant, but that you can make also sustainably long-term from CO2 and water, H2O, which produces CH4 and O2. So that's the sort of sustainable long-term path for rocket propellant generation, and that's how it would have to be done on Mars. we do actually have sustainable power generation for some of our propellant generation already, but it's a small percentage now, but it will be a big percentage in the future.
Okay.
Well, I think we'll see tremendous change over the next 5, 10, or 15 years. I'd say, like, if you say by 2030, I would say probably half of all new cars made will be electric. By 2035, it might be 80% or something like that. I think it could be even higher than those numbers, but the car industry is moving rapidly towards electric, and you know, one country after another and one state after another are making zero-emission mandates. California recently passed zero-emission mandate. New cars sold in California, I think 2035, can only be zero-emission. And so I think so we'll see quite a tremendous change in that regard. And if you look at the streets of Norway, you actually see an advanced version of that, because Norway has some of the highest. In fact, Norway's, I believe, gone to majority electric vehicles of new cars sold, which is great. Again, thank you. The interesting thing is that you say, like, what are the limiting factors governing the rate at which the world can transition to sustainable energy? And I think it's the rate at which one can grow battery production.
Okay.
So then if you say, well, what are the constituents in the battery? In lithium-ion batteries, you've obviously got lithium, you've got a cathode, which is the main cathode materials are going to be a metal, and that's nickel, manganese, and iron. And on the anode side, it's primarily carbon, graphite. So it's, in a sense, you're sequestering a little bit of carbon in the battery. And with some silicon added for energy density on the anode side. And then there's the electrolyte and whatnot. So the main limitation is actually not that these metals are exceptionally rare, but that there's a tremendous amount of processing equipment to take the ore and turn it into battery-grade materials. Because the battery-grade anode and cathode have to be extremely pure in order for the battery to last for a long time. And so it's sort of processing of those elements. And I'm sort of writing this sort of master plan part 3, which is what are the steps needed to scale sustainable energy, and again, what are the limiting factors, and how can we potentially accelerate these?